It was not worth the trouble. Now I walk into the barber shop and all them black people just be looking at me like, yo, Dave, what's up with your boy? Yo, nigga, yo! Not my boy. Because I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat, if you support him or not, any objective person is going to have to admit that this motherfucker is having a terrible go of it. It really is. We've had presidents before that have done bad jobs, but this shit is worse than a bad job. It's scary to watch. Holy shit, it's like seeing a crack pipe in your Uber driver's passenger seat. The fuck is wrong with this guy? Yo, he is lunching, nigga. I watched Donald Trump in a press conference, and this motherfucker had all the media gathered, and this nigga literally asked the media to their face to stop finding shit out. I was like, yo, this motherfucker is bugging. And then, I'm not even making this up, his lips started sweating. His lips. Have you ever seen a motherfucker's lip sweat? What the fuck is wrong with this nigga's lips? It's like if you're on a plane, right? You ever been on a plane? I get scared to fly. I do it all the time. I be scared on there. And sometimes the plane will hit turbulence. And then I get nervous. But I always look at the flight attendant, and she looks calm, and it makes me feel calm. But if that bitch's lips were sweating, it's terrifying. Like, yo, nigga, why are your lips sweating? What do you know? And then, I'm not even making this shit up. This motherfucker grabbed the podium, he goes, you don't know how scary the things I read in my briefings are. And I was like, holy shit, man, you ain't supposed to tell us that, bro. That's bad leadership. Even as a parent, you think I'm gonna sit my kids down? Hey, little man, come here real quick. I just wanna holler at you for a second. Yo, I'm 3 months behind on the rent, nigga, and I am worried. Very worried. Go to school and have a productive day, nigga. I was just thinking out loud, getting some shit off my chest. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? This is bad, man. Jesus Christ. All this motherfucker's ideas sound like high people ideas. Like he doesn't think these things through before he tells us. He just tells us what he's thinking as soon as it occurs to him. This shit sounds nuts. I'm gonna go to China and I'm gonna get those jobs from China and bring them back here to America. For what, nigga? So iPhones can be $9,000? Leave that job in China where it belongs. None of us want to work that hard. What the fuck is he thinking? I want to wear Nikes. I don't want to make them shits. What the fuck are you doing? Stop trying to give us Chinese jobs. I am going to bring back coal. Coal? I'm not even exaggerating. I have never in my life even seen a fucking lump of coal. I honestly don't even know what coal is for. If you're gonna have motherfuckers digging around in the dirt looking for shit, find me some truffles, nigga. That's what I'm about. And these truffle prices are getting out of control. If it gets any worse, I'm gonna be back down to regular butter like everybody else. Veins, he didn't even buckle. You know, like many black men my age, the first time I voted was 8 years ago. Right. I saw Obama on TV and said, oh, I'm voting for this nigga. I remember the day I voted for Obama. I voted in Ohio, and my vote matters in Ohio. Ohio is a battleground state. But when I pulled up to the polls, all the soldiers were in line. There were so many black people in that goddamn line, I didn't even know it was the polls. I thought it was a check cashing place. And we were hugging each other, and old people were singing hymns and spirituals and shit. It was like the OJ verdict times 10 or some shit. I've never seen black people that happy. 8 years later, I'm pulling up to the polls again. This time, I'm driving a brand new Porsche because the Obama years were very good to me. I was early voting, and when I parked my car, I figured out something that it would take the rest of the country another week to figure out. I understood that Donald Trump was going to be our next president because in Ohio, unlike D.C., you could see the results in the parking lot. Saw all these goddamn pickup trucks and tractors and shit. And then I walked up and I saw a long, long line of dusty white people. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, these were the poor whites. And I must tell you, I've never had a problem with white people ever in my life. But full disclosure, the poor whites are my least favorites. We've gotten a lot of trouble out of them. And I've never seen so many of them up close. I looked them right in their coal-smeared faces. And to my surprise, you know what I didn't see? I didn't see one deplorable face in that group. I saw some angry faces and some determined faces, but they felt like decent folk. No, they did. In fact, I'm not even lying, and I didn't sound fucked up, but I felt sorry for them. I know the game now. I know that rich white people call poor white people trash. And the only reason I know that is because I made so much money last year, the rich whites told me they say it at a cocktail party. And I'm not with that shit. And I stood with them in line like all of us Americans are required to do in a democracy. Nobody skips the line to vote. And I listened to them. I listened to them say naive, poor white people things. Man, Donald Trump's gonna go to Washington and he's gonna fight for us. I'm standing there thinking to my mind, you dumb motherfucker. You are poor. He's fighting for me. And they all looked at me. They could tell who I was voting for just as easily as I voted that day, and then that same day I flew to New York City. I had work. That night I was in a comedy club in New York, and I said to an audience almost exactly what I just said to you. And I didn't know that there was a journalist in the room. And this journalist wrote an article. The headline of the article said, Dave Chappelle is an avid Donald Trump supporter. Yeah, I had no idea the paper said that. And you know how I found out? My wife called me from Ohio the next morning in a goddamn panic. David, what the fuck is going on in New York? I said, I'm being good, but what have you heard? And my wife said, the paper is saying that you're a Donald Trump supporter. I was like, whew. I said, don't worry about that shit, baby. Nobody in their right mind would believe that. And she said, no, David, people believe it. And then she started reading the comments to me. Oh, they were terrible. All these black people calling me all kinds of Uncle Toms and shit. I should tell you, buddy, this is a very serious allegation from one black to another. I was incensed. Uncle Tom? How am I Uncle Tom, nigga? You the one that reads The Observer? Anyway, all this shit goes down, and Saturday night rolls around, and now Trump is the president, and I'm hosting Saturday Night Live. And I didn't really prepare my monologue, I just kind of winged it. And at the end of the monologue, I don't even remember what I said. I said something like, you know, fuck it, we're historically disenfranchised, and we're gonna give him, something about we're gonna give him a chance if he gives us a chance. I don't know what I said, but whatever I said, I really wish I didn't say that shit. Tell who they were voting for. But do you guys know what we all had in common? Not one of us, not a single one of us, looked like we felt good about what we had to do in that booth. We were just doing our goddamn duty. Yes, I voted for Hillary Clinton. Of course I did. I voted for her because I liked what she said vastly better than I liked what he said. But to be honest with you, at that point, that shit was like watching Darth Vader do the I Have a Dream speech. That bitch is mean as hell. She'd already Karate Kid swept Bernie Sanders' legs from underneath him. Boy, it was hard voting for that shit. But it was the lesser of the evils. I know you were a Clinton supporter, Miss I. I'm sorry to say like that. It didn't feel bad voting for her, but it didn't feel as good as it should have. She was gonna be our first woman president. They were gonna make coins out of this bitch. And somehow she just missed the dunk. Of course she should have beat him. Of course she should have beat him. You know what voting for her felt like? It was bittersweet. It felt like I was lucky enough to eat Halle Berry's pussy. And whilst I was doing so, she fucking farted in my face, man. You understand, I'd still do it. But boy, I wish she didn't fart in this great nation's face. The motherfucker threw a banana peel at me. Yeah, that didn't feel so good. Of course, it was a white person. Not to indict the whites, I'm just saying. Not to profile. And then not only did he throw a banana peel at me, but it was premeditated. You could tell. You could tell the peel was too brown, you know what I mean? It was like, you didn't eat that banana recently, motherfucker. You had that shit waiting on me. And the whole crowd was white, so it just got instantly creepy, and everyone looked like they were looking at 12 Years a Slave or something. They were all just like... Who the fuck does that? And then they arrested the guy, which was... I said, someone's gonna fuck you in the butt in the holding cell. You know that, right? Can't just be throwing banana peels at Dave Chappelle. They're not gonna let you get away with this. And the press called me up like, do you have a statement? A statement? For a fucking banana peel? No! I don't have anything to say. This guy was like fucking famous for throwing a banana peel at me. 20 years from now, he's gonna be tucking his kids in the bed and the kid gonna be like, Daddy, tell him about the day that you threw that banana peel at that nigger in Santa Fe. Boy, I'll tell you what, that black motherfucker had it coming. I saw his name up on the marquee about a week before. I said, man, if I could just get close enough to meet him. Throw a banana on that nigger. Fucking banana gate. I didn't even like... You know, this has happened to me before. No, sir, it's not a banana. I live in Ohio, right? So this like a few winters ago. Oh, I didn't know you would ever clap for that. Well, all right. That's the first time that shit's ever happened. Ohio! Anyway, I live amongst the whites. Small town in Ohio. And it was wintertime, and it had snowed recently, so there were huge snowdrifts on the street. I was walking with my sister. Now, my sister was dressed in all Muslim garb, as were her children. And I was dressed as Dave Chappelle. And we were walking and just talking about something, and a car sped around the corner, and the window came down, and somebody threw a snowball and hit me right in my shoulder. I didn't know what was going on. Why was this happening? Because I'm black, because she's Muslim, because I'm Dave Chappelle. I couldn't tell. But again, I knew it was premeditated. Because who the fuck has a snowball in a warm car? But I didn't think it all the way through, lady, because he went around the corner and got stopped at a red light. He was caught in the traffic. So then I ran out into the street and I just tapped on his window. Hey, my man, can I just talk to you guys for a second? Come on out for a second. I just want to talk to you. There's 4 young white dudes in the car. They were like, just chill, bro. I said, relax. I just want to talk. Now, this is an old black trick. Really, I didn't want to talk. I was going to fuck them up. So, if you're ever caught in traffic and a black guy starts saying he just want to talk to you, don't open the door, nigga. And even if he's me, smiling at you. And they were like, chill, bro, just chill. And then the one guy in the back seat, I don't know what, he was just cockier than his friends. He was like, fuck it, man. I'll get out the car. And I started yanking on his door. Let me help you, motherfucker. Let me just help you out. And I didn't notice his window was down. And he threw a snowball and shit me right in my chest. Pow. He said, fuck you, you fucking nigger. And then the light turned green and they sped off. And I smiled from ear to ear. I looked at my sister and she said, I got the plates. And I was happy as shit because throwing a snowball at a motherfucker is a misdemeanor assault. But if you call him a nigger when you do it, that's a felony hate crime. And me and my sister start dancing. We gonna send this motherfucker to jail. Now, I didn't notice it, but while I was yelling at him, a crowd of all white people had formed because it was an all-white town. And I was like, uh-oh, I thought I was gonna get jumped. And one of them white guys stepped out and was like, I didn't like that at all. This is not what this town represents. I don't want this goddamn stuff in my vicinity. And another white guy was like, yeah, I didn't like it either. And then an old white guy stepped out of the crowd and said, young man, if you're going to fill out a police report, I would like to come with you and do the same. I said, you guys would do that for me? And the whole crowd said, hooray! I said, come on, y'all. I look like Malcolm X going to see Brother Johnson with a trail of white people. Unreal. An hour later, we was all just sitting in the police station, and the police came in and like, well, Mr. Chappelle, 16 identical police reports. We ran the tags, 2 young men that had their mother's car. We have all 4 suspects in holding. Their mother is here. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do. If you want to press charges, we'll move forward. Mr. Chappelle, are you okay? Huh? Sorry about that, officer. I'm a little flustered. I've never been in a position where I could decide the fate of white children before, but it's weighing heavy on me, sir. And I really can't decide. And I saw a lady pacing back and forth in the hallway, and I said, is that? He goes, yes, that's their mother. Well, can I speak to her before I make a decision? And when the mom came in, she saw it was me. She busted out crying. Oh, God, I don't know. I don't want him to go to jail. I am so sorry. I didn't raise him to do this. We love your comedy. We love you at the house. I said, miss, please, just, all right, look, I don't necessarily want your son to go to jail either. But what he did was pretty fucked up. So, is there something we can do short of jail just to let him know that he's wrong? She goes, oh, I don't know. What did you have in mind? Miss, I've never been in this position before. Oh, you know what we could do? I don't know if I'm asking too much, but maybe if you could just suck my dick a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm not gonna finish. I just want you to do it enough so that I can tell him you did it. I'm kidding. I'm being real. It's fucked up, man. It's a tough time for the blacks. I love you too. And then here comes the banana peel. I'm waiting on it any second. You know that's how it starts. I saw in the paper today that the guy that threw the banana at me got arrested again because he threw a banana at another motherfucker in a bar in Santa Fe. Look it up online after the show. He actually did that. And that guy was black too. I'm just saying. And you know what a guy said he did it at night? He said, I did it because Dave Chappelle is racist. So, nigga, that's not the best way to handle that if I am racist. What if Martin Luther King just went around throwing... Huh? I seen your girl bubbling. She's drunk as hell, buddy. Listen, sir, I don't know what she's saying, but just take my advice. Get some water in her, or you're gonna have some dry pussy when you get home. His dick's gonna be shaped the fuck up tomorrow. Santa Maria. Who got a cigarette in here? Anyone got a cigarette I can borrow? Yeah, you fella. Yeah, please. Well, let me see this. This is a Marlboro menthol. This could have been anybody. If it was a Newport, I'd be like a black dude threw that up. But a Marlboro menthol, that's one of them riddles. In Mississippi, on this side, we don't know what earthquakes are about. I gotta tell you something. I thought. He didn't let anyone down. The thing everybody says. How come? You know, I'm going to give you a history lesson because I'm sure this wasn't on your entry exam. But every naturalized American has heard something about what I'm about to tell you. Picture it's the early 50s in the United States. This 14-year-old boy goes down from Chicago to Mississippi to meet his extended family for the first time. He'd never been to Mississippi. And before he went, his mother said to him, very pointedly, she said, if a white man looks you in your eyes in Mississippi, look away. And I don't know what you know about black people from Chicago, but they're not a scared people. Legend has it, he was in front of a convenience store, hanging out with his cousins, having a good time, and a white woman walked out of the store, and he thought she was pretty, and he said, bye, baby, not realizing that he had just made a fatal mistake. 4 days later, a group of adult white men burst into this family's home and snatched a 14-year-old boy out of bed in front of his family that was powerless to stop them, and he was never seen alive again. His name was Emmett Till. They found his body maybe a few days later. It was in a creek, tied to a wheel so it would sink, horribly beaten and bloated. Hideous. And lucky for everybody in America, his mother was a fucking gangster. She was. If you can imagine, in the very midst of a mother's worst nightmare, this woman had the foresight to think about everybody. She said, leave my son's casket open. She said, the world needs to see what they did to my baby. And every publication here in the United States, from Jet magazine all the way to the New York Times, had this boy's horribly bloated body on its cover. And if our civil rights movement was a car, this boy's dead body was premium gas. This was a very definitive moment in American history where every thinking and feeling person was like, ugh, we gotta do better than this. And they fought beautifully, and here we all are. And the reason that I bring that up tonight and why it's relevant now is because less than a year ago, the woman that he allegedly whistled at admitted on her deathbed that she lied in her court testimony. And you can imagine when we read that shit, we was like, ooh, you lying ass bitch. Was furious. But that was my initial reaction. And initial reactions that we all learned as we get older are often wrong or more often incomplete. They call this phenomenon standing too close to an elephant. The analogy being that if you stand too close to an elephant, you can't see the elephant. All you see is its penis-like skin. You gotta step back and give it a better look. And on stepping back and thinking about it for a few moments, I realized that it must have been very difficult for this woman to tell a truth that heinous about herself at any point in her life, even the very end. And I was grateful that she had the courage to tell it before she left this world, because it's an important truth and we needed to know. And I said to myself, well, thank you for telling the truth, you lying ass bitch. And then time goes on, and then after time, you can kind of see the whole elephant. And it's humbling, because you realize that this woman lied, and that lie caused the murder. But that murder set in motion a sequence of events that made my wonderful life possible, that made this very night possible. How could this be that this lie could make the world a better place? It's maddening. And that's how I feel about this president. I feel like this motherfucker might be the lie that saves us all. Because I have never felt more American than when we all hate on this motherfucker together. Jesus Christ, it's good. And when it happens, I can see everybody that's struggling. So if I'm on stage and I tell a joke that makes you want to beat up a transgender, then you're probably a piece of shit and don't come see me anymore. Or if you don't understand that when a football player takes a knee during the national anthem, he's actually standing up for me, then you might not want to fuck with me anymore. But I swear, no matter how bad it gets, you're my countrymen, and I know for a fact that I'm determined to work shit out with y'all. And if that woman that said that heinous lie was alive today, I would thank her for the real reason that's been percolating, and it really is the crowd, not you. I'm talking about the crowd on the big stage. It's too hard to entertain a country whose ears are so brittle. Motherfuckers are so sensitive, the whole country is turned into bitch-ass niggas. Everything you say upsets somebody. You know, I can remember when it all started. It was when I was doing Chappelle's show. When I was doing Chappelle's show, I used to do the show, and then on the weekends I do like concerts and shit like that. So I'm doing a concert, and there was a couple in the front row, beautiful couple. The wife was obviously Asian. You could see it in her face. The husband, this motherfucker was mysterious, to say the least. Couldn't quite pinpoint where he was from. Caramel-colored fella, very nice hair, but he could have been from anywhere. Bangladesh, Mexico. I can't guess with a nigga like this. All I knew for sure about this guy is that his wife was a bitch. I could see that in her face, too. No, he was laughing and having a good time, and she was scowling at me at a goddamn comedy show. I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized at some point that she was pregnant, and I was smoking on stage. I said, oh my God, that's probably why she's mad. So I started to put my cigarette out, but then she hit me with one of them fake non-smoker calls. So I just kept smoking. I thought to myself, bitch, that babe will be fine, relax. And I tried to break the tension. I just asked her. That's all I said. I go, hey, where are you guys from anyway? And I could tell that she was on to me. She goes, very condescendingly, she says, I'm from California. If you're asking my ethnicity, I am Chinese. And her husband was just cool about the shit. He was like, I'm Mexican, bro. I said, well, I'm sorry if I offended you by asking, but you're a very beautiful couple. And miss, there's no question that you're gonna give birth to the hardest working baby this world has ever seen. That's not a bad joke. She got very upset. She got up to leave immediately, but she didn't just leave. She had to take one last dig at me on the way out. I will never buy one of your fucking DVDs again, Dave Chappelle. I said, ma'am, with all due respect, Chinese people don't buy DVDs. And the crowd went crazy. We were all laughing, having a good time. I didn't even think anything of it. And then just 3 days later, this lady sends a fucking letter to my promoter telling him not to book me for shows anymore because I was, quote, racist, and I'm quoting her, insensitive to the nature of my interracial marriage. I was like, word, bitch, I was. If she had just done a little bit of research, she would know that I myself am in an interracial marriage. That's right. In fact, my wife is Asian too. Surprise, bitch, I'll see you on Thanksgiving. But my wife's not Chinese. She's Filipino. That's right, that's right. And our kids are Puerto Rican somehow, so there you go. Under the name Charles Edward Cheese. I came back to my room late at night, and there was a note. It was like a letter on my desk. It was addressed to Mr. Cheese. So obviously, I'm going to assume that whoever wrote this letter must be an intimate friend of mine. This is not some kind of name that a person would just guess. But then I open the letter, and it turns out I don't know this person at all. It's a fan letter. You know, I'm not even used to the idea that I have fans, but I'm grateful for it. And even though I'm grateful for fans, I don't read those letters. Be nice if I did, but realistically, it's like, what am I, Santa Claus, nigga? I don't have time for this. Like, got shit I want to do. I'm trying to chill. Read all these dreams and wishes from strangers. But I read it. I'd already opened it. So I just read the whole letter. And you know what, man? Whoever wrote this letter truly loves me. I mean, they were really fucking nice in the letter. And then they described to me what it was like to come to the show, how excited they were, how much fun they were having. And then they said that when I got to my jokes about transgenders, that they were, quote, devastated. Because it turns out that whoever wrote the letter was transgender. Now, I'm going to be real for a second. As a policy, you got to understand, I never feel bad about anything I say up here. And I would never admit this to you if I hadn't locked your phones up. But it was the weirdest thing. Like, when I read this letter, this shit made me feel bad. I didn't feel bad about what I said, you understand? I felt bad that I made somebody else feel bad. To be honest, I don't even know what I said that upset that person. I have so many transgender jokes. But I feel like it was probably this joke I'm about to tell you right now. And it's not even that bad of a joke. It's a true joke. I mean, it's not true, but I had read in the paper that Caitlyn Jenner was contemplating posing nude in an upcoming issue of Sports Illustrated. And I know it's not politically correct to say these things, so I just figured, fuck it, I'll say it for everybody else. Yuck. You know, sometimes I just want to read some stats. I don't know why you're going to cram some man pussy in the middle of the sports page like this. I just didn't think that was the place for it. But I wasn't saying anything like Caitlyn Jenner's a bad person. I'm not mad at her for doing it. Not even mad at Sports Illustrated. If I'm mad at somebody, I'm probably just mad at myself. You understand? Because deep down, I know that I am not strong enough to not look at those pictures. And I don't think I'm ready to see what she's trying to show me. So Caitlyn, God damn it, if you go through with this thing, bitch, you better go hard or go home. I want you to go all the way. Hustler style. Do you know what hustler style means, miss? That means spread the lips. I hope she spreads her lips and there's an itty bitty dick inside. Ah! The show is behind the curtains. I don't know what I said that upset that person. But it's been said in the press that I was invited to speak to the transgender employees at Netflix, and I refuse. That is not true. If they had invited me, I would have accepted it, although I am confused about what we are speaking about. I said what I said, and boy, I heard what you said. My God, how could I not? You said you want a safe working environment at Netflix. Well, it seems like I'm the only one that can't go to the office anymore. I want everyone in this audience to know that even though the media frames this, that it's me versus that community, that is not what it is. Do not blame the LGBTQ community for any of this shit. This has nothing to do with them. It's about corporate interests and what I can say and what I cannot say. For the record, and I need you to know this, everyone I know from that community has been nothing but loving and supporting. So I don't know what all this nonsense is about. In summer 2020, when the whole world shut down, I was outside doing shows. My neighbor had a cornfield, and he let me throw shows there, and people came from all over the country. Some people came from around the world to see those shows. The best comedians on earth came to my home and broke bread with me, and we lived our lives. We found a way to keep moving forward. I made a whole documentary about it. The first night of those shows was a piece that some of you might have seen. It was called 846, and it dealt with the death, the murder of George Floyd. This film that I made was invited to every film festival in the United States, and some of those invitations I accepted. And when this controversy came out about the closer, they began disinviting me from these film festivals. And now, today, not a film company, not a movie studio, not a film festival, nobody will touch this film. Thank God for Ted Sarandos at Netflix. He's the only one that didn't cancel me yet. To the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing and a time of my choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny. I desperately want people to see this movie, but I understand why investors would be nervous. Since nobody will touch it, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will make it available for all of you in 10 American cities, going on sale in the next few days. You will be able to see this movie in its entirety, and you can see what they're trying to obstruct you from seeing. And you can judge for yourself, but you cannot have this conversation and exclude my voice from it. That is only fair. You have to answer the question, am I canceled or not? Then let's go. Thank you very much, and good night. At an improv class, a teacher named Geraldine Gilstrap told me that I should stop doing funny pieces, that I should try to stretch myself artistically, that maybe I had more in me than comedy. And at the time, I took offense to that. So because she said that, after school that very night, I went to the comedy club. For the first time, I signed the list, and I waited, and I got on, and I killed it. Killed it. Must have been 35 years ago, night after night. I killed it. I'd show up with a bag of tricks that I learned at school, and I would dominate adults on a regular basis. Couldn't wait to get out of D.C. When I was 17, I moved to New York and lit that comedy scene up. I was obviously talented. You'll hear stories about people saying that I discovered Dave Chappelle. That's like saying you discovered sunshine. I was shining on everybody. And when I got in that professional world, I was oddly prepared. I had a sense of professionalism. I showed up on time. I did the things that I learned in school to do, just the basics. My career didn't have any direction because I was still so young. And that didn't change for many years. It didn't change until my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, told me she was pregnant. And I was like, you know what? I should really start taking this seriously. When she told me that, before the baby was born, I had done my first HBO special, and then I went to work on a sketch comedy show idea I had, and the Chappelle show came out when my son was still maybe 18 months years old. And I bet on myself. I took less money. I remember that, so I could do what I wanted to do. I said, you don't have to pay me that much, but you can't ever tell me that I can't do what I want to do. I did the first season, I'll tell you, for $300,000. Which sounds like a lot of money, but. It was a rare experience in my life because it was the first time that I did something that was so successful that I knew I had exceeded their expectations. I was more successful than I felt like I was supposed to be. They didn't plan on that. The second season came out and was a juggernaut, and then I remember this is the single best day of my career. The Rick James episode of Chappelle Show had come out. People were going crazy about the Rick James episode. At the same time, the DVD
for season 1 of Chappelle Show dropped. It was the first time any television show had ever been sold off air, and it sold 1 million copies in the first day. It was unheard of. To this day, nothing has sold more than Chappelle Show. It's still on the top 10 in Netflix. All those great things happened, and my contract was up. Clearly, I was about to be rich. I'll spare you all the details of why it didn't work out. But it didn't work out. And I ended up doing something that no one had ever seen before, including myself. Maybe Prince is the only other guy that I've seen do this, where he just quit something that was popular when you're at the very top of it. Lucky for me, when I quit, I went to Africa, so there was a media storm that I didn't hear. By the time I got back, everyone was just looking at me crazy. That was a very difficult decision to make. The entire world told me I was crazy, but I was sure I was being true to myself and to something that I learned at Ellington. I'm one of those comedians that thought of himself as an artist. I was enamored by what the genre could do. It was like the pictures that I could paint with words and the way I could engage with audiences. I understood as it was happening. I was very lucky to be able to do this. And I protected that. And I knew that if I took the money, they would expect me to behave differently. After I did Lorne Michaels, after I did Saturday Night Live, Lorne Michaels said something that I got to share with you. He goes, "You went to Peggy Caford School, didn't you?" That's what he said. And I said, "I did." And he said, I want to say to Saturday Night Live, he goes, "Tell her I owe her money." You know, I never asked to have this theater named after me. Peggy asked me. She was ailing, and I went to her house to visit her. She said, "I want you to put your name on the school." She said, "It will help us raise money for the school." And to me, it was like, I felt like I'm a little young for that, and I'm still kind of using the name, you know what I mean? Let's see what I do with it first. You never know, Like, imagine if OJ named his son OJ Jr. Oh, man. And around then, I was receiving the Mark Twain Prize, huge honor. And the next day, all the artists that came to honor me, the Bradley Coopers and Chris Tuckers and all these great people, came to Ellington, and they taught master classes for the students. And Peggy Cooper Cafritz, as sick as she was, got out of her bed so she could be with her babies. She never left us. So I did it. Say, whatever you want to do, if I can help, I'll do it. I got to tell you, if you quit a show like Chappelle Show, I don't know if you know what happens to you professionally, but I'll tell you what doesn't happen. They don't just say, "Well, good luck in your future endeavors." With that media, they beat me up. With their power, they tried to make me behave. It takes a strong person to stand out in the cold like that. And I swear to God, so much of the strength I got to do that, the inner warmth I got to do that, I learned in this school and from my friends who helped raise me. So why wouldn't I do anything I could to help my benefactor? And the last time I came back, after the closer, when the kids were mad at me, I gotta tell you, that was quite the day. All the kids were screaming and yelling. I remember I said to the kids, I go, well, what do you guys think I did wrong? And a line formed. These kids said everything about gender and this and that and the other, but they didn't say anything about art. And this is my biggest gripe with this whole controversy with the closer, that you cannot report on an artist's work and remove artistic nuance from his words. It would be like if you were reading a newspaper and they say, man shot in the face by a 6-foot rabbit, expected to survive. You'd be like, oh my God. And they never tell you it's a Bugs Bunny cartoon. I took a lot of cold shots in show business. And I gotta tell you, as the years go on, you feel the shots less and less. It's just the business, is what you say. But that one, that day, boy, that day they hurt me. When I heard those talking points coming out of these children's faces, that really, sincerely hurt me. Because I know those kids didn't come up with those words. I've heard those words before. The more you say I can't say something, the more urgent it is for me to say it. And it has nothing to do with what you're saying I can't say. It has everything to do with my right, my freedom of artistic expression that is valuable to me, that is not separate from me. It's worth protecting for me, and it's worth protecting for everyone else who endeavors in our noble, noble professions. And these kids didn't understand that they were instruments of oppression. And I didn't get mad at them. They're kids, they're freshmen, they're not ready yet. They don't know. What made me mad, and I am this petty, I ain't saying names. One of the kids' mother went on Fox News. And she used to be a student here. I remember her face, but I don't know if she was particularly popular. Anyway. She was in the literary media arts department. She said a lot of things that I didn't like. A lot of things, but, you know, that's her right. Things she said that got to me. She said, at Duke Ellington, that theater was a sanctuary for students. I used to sit there and meditate. Well, of course you'd meditate. You were a literary media arts student. We didn't meditate in here, we got to work. But okay, fine. I would sit in there and meditate, she said. And then she scrunched her face up. She's a beautiful woman, but her face looked hideous the way she scrunched it up. And she said, and just to imagine his name on that theater. How could you do that to those kids? Listen. No matter what they said about The Closer, it was still the most watched special in the world. And I am still of the mind, and I say this with all humility, it is a masterpiece. And I challenge all my peers to make its equal. They cannot. I am sure. It will be decades before you ever see someone in my genre as proficient as me. I am maybe a once-in-a-lifetime talent. I am telling you the truth. That bodyguards should not wear dress shoes to work, Travis. This nigga Travis came out slipping and sliding on some kind of beautiful loafer
and fell flat on his back. Pop. I said, oh my God. Now both of us are down. I gotta handle this shit myself. So I popped that back, boom. And then the kid that knocked me down, he popped out, boom. And we looked at each other and realized, at the same time, I was bigger than him. And that motherfucker took off running. And I started to chase him, and I said, fuck him. And I picked the microphone up. So I'm gonna finish this show now. That's right. For 3 months before that, I'd been making fun of Chris Rock. And people would ask me all the time. They'd say, Dave, what would you do if you were Chris Rock and Will Smith slapped you in the face? And to this day, the answer is the same. Well, I don't know what I would have done. I've never been in a situation that extreme. But I do know now what Will Smith would not have done. And that is enjoy the rest of his evening. Man, listen. We gave that kid a good wall. We was whooping his ass. Not we. I mean, I was on stage trying to think of a joke to tell, but they was beating this nigga up right behind me. Everybody could see it. Everybody could see it. And I'm sitting up there trying to think of what to say. And I'm tongue-tied. Me, of all people, can't think of anything to say. Look at my karma. Just that moment. Of all the people in the world, Chris Rock walks from backstage, walks up to me in front of 20,000 people, grabs the mic out of my hands and looks at the crowd and goes, was that Will Smith? Man, motherfuckers fell out of their chairs laughing. I was standing there looking stupid. I was fucking furious, because I'm thinking in my mind, nigga, this is my attack. You got attacked 3 months ago. Now you have jokes. So I snatched the mic back from Chris and tried to get one off, but my shit did not go good at all. I didn't know what to say. I was just like, it was a trans man. And the crowd was like, boo. It's LA, we like trans people, boo. I know, I felt so bad. I felt so bad. But I know why I did it. You'd have to be there to understand, but man, when that guy tackled me, it was like it's like a movie or something. You gotta picture this. Picture a famous person you like. Every famous person you could imagine was at that show. It was like the biggest night that Hollywood had ever seen. And when that guy tackled me, he cleared the bleachers. I had to watch the tape afterwards to know this happened, but as soon as he tackled me, Jamie Foxx was the first motherfucker that jumped out of the crowd. He was wearing a white cowboy hat like he knew this shit was gonna happen to him. Never seen this nigga in a cowboy hat before. And Jamie started chasing that motherfucker around like any given Sunday. And that kid was fast as shit, was juking and shaking, and it broke Jamie's ankles, and he just kept running. And then Jon Stewart from The Daily Show ran from backstage and jumped at this motherfucker like Super Jew. He was like, ah! And the kid seen Jon coming, so he jumped back, and Jon went flying that way. And this kid was fast. And then he turned around. He sees the emergency exit. He starts running for the emergency exit. Just before he got to the door, motherfucking Puff Daddy from Bad Boy Records jumped in front of the door. That nigga was like, Boy, Puffy got that motherfucker. And then every celebrity just ran out because every celebrity saw themselves in me, and they just started beating the fuck out of that kid. And I know Chris was backstage looking like, nobody helped me. Everybody hates Chris. You read, but the kid, while we was beating on him, reached in his waistband, pulled out a .22 caliber pistol. That shit was mayhem. Everybody started screaming, oh my God, he's got a gun. He's got a gun. And then I got scared. I was in the back, but I was scared. Because I knew that everybody that was with me was armed. Yes, if they had shot and killed this kid on stage at the Hollywood Bowl, like I pay you to do, Travis, but Travis G'd up. Travis wrestled the gun out of the kid's hand, and then he took it like this and tried to chamber the round, and he couldn't. So he pulled the trigger, and it wasn't a gun. A knife blade popped out of the front. I guess this kid was gonna stab me. Some scary shit. So the next night, even though I didn't have a show, I said, I gotta get right back on stage. And I went and did a show. And someone in the audience screamed out, Dave, what happened with the attack? And I didn't know there was journalists in the room. All I said was that this nigga had a knife that I identified as a gun. I got 6 more weeks of bad press for that joke. I didn't even do nothing to this nigga. That's not right. That was not right. I came here to laugh at transgender people. I didn't know this nigga was gonna make jokes about us. Come on, y'all, let's get the fuck up out of here. Yeah, it's about time somebody let these handicaps have it. They done met their match tonight. Fuck them. One time I was on Capitol Hill, and I seen a handicapped congressman. Madison Cawthorn, that's his name. He's a Republican from North Carolina, and he was shocked because I saw him, and I go, hello, Congressman. He didn't even know I knew who he was. He turned around. Then I just walked away. I wanted him to see me do something he couldn't do. I skipped. That nigga was mad. He's no longer a congressman. I don't know if you follow politics. I'm not trying to be funny, but he lost his seat. He ran a bad race. Oh, buddy, yes, he did. And you know what he did wrong? He was running for Congress again, and this motherfucker tried to be controversial. He was on all them right-wing podcasts talking all that shit. He was like, Washington is worse than Hollywood. I was at home like, what? He said, these people are disgusting. They have orgies and sex parties and drug parties. And I was thinking, this nigga sounds like Juicy Smouye. He's lying. Now, I don't doubt that they do this kind of shit in Washington. But I doubt he's seen it with his own eyes. Because who the fuck invites a paraplegic to an orgy? So this nigga can roll around and snitch on everybody. I said, there's only one reason you're gonna invite him to an orgy. And you know what that is. Have at it, guys. I can't feel anything. Let's get this bill passed for America. One at a time, folks. Oh, buddy. Yep. Yeah, the handicaps are the new people I punch down on. To be honest with you, I've been trying to repair my relationship with the transgender community because I don't want them to think that I don't like them. And you know how I've been repairing it? I wrote a play. I did, because I know that gays love plays. It's a very sad play, but it's moving. It's about a black transgender woman whose pronoun is sadly nigger. It's a tearjerker. At the end of the play, she dies of loneliness because white liberals don't know how to speak to her. Sad. Speaking of nigger, I've also been working on a book, and this is true. I'm rewriting the American classic, Huckleberry Finn, from Nigger Jim's perspective. It's called The Adventures of Nigger Jim. That's how the book starts. Huckleberry Finn walks up to him and goes, "So you're Nigger Jim?" And he's like, "Yo, I just said Jim." "What's your name, little buddy?" "Huckleberry Finn is my name." "What? Huckleberry? That's your real name?" "God-given." "You know what? Just call me Nigger Jim. It's fine." I don't care if you are black or white or whatever. If you ever meet a white person named Huckleberry, he has less money than you. That is the white, trashiest name I've ever heard in my fucking life. If you have a name like Huckleberry, you're doomed to fail. If I was in court and my lawyer came up and was like, "I am your attorney, Huckleberry Finn," I'd be like, "Uh-oh, I'm going to jail." God forbid I ever go to jail. But if I do, I hope it's in California. Because as soon as the judge sentenced me, I'll be like, "Your Honor, before you sentence me, I just want the court to know I identify as a woman. Send me to women's jail." And as soon as I get in there, you know what I'm gonna be doing? "Give me a fruit cocktail, bitch, before I knock your motherfucking teeth out. I'm a girl just like you, bitch. Come over here and suck this girl dick I got. Don't make me explain myself. I'm a girl." You know, I have a great reputation in show business, but in comedy, I'm what's known as a lazy comedian, which is crazy because I work all the time, but that's not why they call me lazy. They call me lazy because I'll do shows sometimes, 20,000 people be in the crowd, and I'll tell a joke, and they'll all look at me like I'm crazy, but 3 or 4 people will laugh really hard, and I'll be on stage like, "Yeah, that's good enough." Well, this next joke is one of those jokes that... But you see, what I didn't realize at the time and what Kevin had to learn the hard way is we were breaking an unwritten and unspoken rule of show business. And if I say it, you'll know that I'm telling you the truth. The rule is that no matter what you do in your artistic expression, you are never, ever allowed to upset the alphabet people. You know who I mean. Those people that took 20% of the alphabet for themselves. I'd say the letters, but I don't want to conjure their anger. It's too late now. I'm talking about them L's and them B's and them G's and the T's. People be surprised. I have friends, all kinds of letters. Everybody loves me, and I love everybody. I got friends who are L's, I got friends who are B's, and I got friends who are G's. But the T's hate my fucking guts. And I don't blame them. It's not their fault, it's mine. I can't stop telling jokes about these niggas. I don't want to write these jokes, but I just can't stop. You know, you hear all those letters together all the time, LBGT, LBGT, and you think it's just one big movement. It's not. All those letters are their own movement. They just travel in the same car together. And my guess is, What is this, high school? This nigga probably got a babysitter or something. Go on and answer your phone, nigga. Just get that shit out of here. I'm in the middle of something important. Wouldn't it be fun if we made fun of him? He was like, ah, and he went outside like, hello? Mama's dead. Oh, no! Mama's dead. That was a weird time phone call, wasn't it? It's like his phone is gay. Like I was saying, my guess is the G's are driving that car. That makes sense to me, because there's white men in the G's. And these people are trying to get around discrimination and oppression. And you know how white dudes are. We know these roads. In fact, we built these roads. The rest of you buckle up. We'll get you to where you want to go. So the G's are just driving the car. Of course, next to the G's in the passenger seat is the L's. Everybody likes the L's, except for the G's. I don't know what that's about. I just know the G's don't like them that much. And the G's always say like little subliminal digs on them. It's unnecessary shit. It's not mean, but you know what I mean? They just be like, I wouldn't wear that. The only thing that breaks the tension between the L's and the G's are the B's in the back seat. That's right, there you go. Everybody scream out when you hear your letter. If it's one thing that the L's and the G's agree on, is that the B's are fucking gross. They seem greedy to the L's and the G's, you know what I mean? They're just sitting in the back seat like, yeah, man, I'll fuck anybody in this car. What's going on, man? And sitting next to the B's, all the way in the back seat by themselves, looking out the window. That's the T's. Everybody in the car respects the T's, but everyone also resents the T's. It's not the T's' fault, but everyone in the car just feels like the T's are making the trip take longer. Anything the T's say gets on everybody's nerves. And then the T's don't even say anything bad. They just be in the back talking to himself. I'm hot. Shut up. Shut the fuck up, okay? Just roll the window down, you bitch. I don't know what you... What? Just said I was hot. Could you pull over at the next exit? I need to use the restroom. There is not a restroom for you for 4 states, nigga. Will you just shut the fuck up so we can get where we're going? And just when that car can't get any more tense, the Q's are a hitchhiker that they pick up on the road. Some white dude in booty shorts is walking down the freeway. The G's see him. That guy might be one of us. Hey, are you okay? You need some help? And he come over there with them booty shorts leaning on the window. Hey, what's going on, fellas? Lady? Whatever pronoun makes you feel comfortable in the back.
Yeah, I don't really know where I'm going. I don't know if I'm gay or I'm straight or whatever. All I know for sure is that I really want to get in this car. And they make him get in and sit in between the B's and the T's. I feel bad for T's, but they're so confusing. And it's not all my fault. I feel like they need to take some responsibility for my jokes. Because I didn't come up with this idea on my own, this idea that a person can be born in the wrong body, but they have to admit that's a fucking hilarious predicament. It's really fucking funny. And if it happened to me, you'd laugh, wouldn't you? That wouldn't be funny if it happened to me? I think it would be. What if it did? What if I was Chinese, but born in this nigga body? That's not funny. And for the rest of my life, I had to go around making that face. Hey, everybody, I'm Chinese. And everyone get mad. Stop making that face. That's offensive. What? This is how I feel inside. It's hard not to write these jokes. It's hard not to think about. Even when I watch sports, I be thinking about, like think about, okay, say LeBron James changed his gender. You know what I mean? Okay, can he stay in the NBA, or, because he's a woman, does he have to go to the WNBA where he will score 840 points a game? What does it actually mean to be equal? You know what I mean? Like, if women are actually equal to men, then there would be no WNBA, would there? You would just be good enough to play in the NBA with us. Or, here's another idea that's going to be very controversial. You could. I'm sorry, ladies. I got a fucking Me Too headache. Y'all is killing me right now. It's really fucking tough to watch what's going on. You know, ladies, I said it in my last special, and I got in a lot of trouble for this. I told you were right. But the way you're going about it is not going to work. But I'm biased. I said it. Louis C.K. was a very good friend of mine before he died in that terrible masturbation accident. And it was his room. You read the story. He was masturbating in his own room. That's where you're supposed to masturbate. And then he said, hey, everybody, I'm gonna pull my dick out. Nobody ran for the door or nothing like that. They all just kind of hung out like, I wonder if this guy's serious. And he came on his own stomach. There it is. What is the threat? Have any women ever seen a guy that just came on his own stomach? This is the least threatening motherfucker the earth has ever seen. All you see is shame in their face and cum dripping down like pancake butter. He didn't do anything that you can call the police for. I dare to try. Call the police on him. Hello, police? Yes, I am on the other line with comedian Louis C.K., and I think that he is masturbating while I'm on the phone. You know what the police are gonna say in Atlanta? Well, what are you guys talking about? They ruined this nigga's life, and now he's coming back playing comedy, and they acting like if he's able to do that, that's gonna hurt women. What the fuck is your agenda, ladies? Is sexism dead? No, in fact, the opposite happened. I said it was gonna get worse, and they said I was tone deaf. But 8 states, including your state, have passed the most stringent anti-abortion laws this nation has seen since Roe v. Wade. I told you.
Now, I'll be real with you, and I know nobody gives a fuck what I think anyway. I'm not for abortion. Oh, shut up, nigga. I'm not for it, but I'm not against it either. It all depends on who I get pregnant. I don't care. I'll tell you right now, I don't care what your religious beliefs are or anything. If you have a dick, you need to shut the fuck up on this one. Seriously. This is theirs. The right to choose is their unequivocal right. Not only do I believe they have the right to choose, I believe that they shouldn't have to consult anybody, except for a physician, about how they exercise that right. Gentlemen, that is fair. And ladies, to be fair to us, I also believe if you decide to have the baby, a man should not have to pay. That's fair. If you can kill this motherfucker, I can at least abandon him. It's my money, my choice. And if I'm wrong, then perhaps we're wrong. Just figure that shit out for yourselves. I mean, really, y'all, what the fuck are we? I started making friends that are still my friends to this very day, lifelong friends. As I get older, I appreciate my teachers more and more. But to tell you the truth, I appreciated them then. Teacher salary is, not necessarily what it should be. And when I think about that, juxtaposed to the dedication that the teachers, the time they would spend to me, the way they would notice, are you okay? Is everything all right? You look sad today. Any little thing, like a family member would. And they fostered an environment of almost absolute trust, like your parents. There's 2 lectures that I got at school that changed the way I do comedy, that turned a light switch on. It was 2 teachers. Donald Lease. Donald Lease, may he rest in peace. Maybe one of the single best educators that I've ever met in my life. He had a demeanor about himself that demanded excellence from his students. He would tell us incredible stories that I didn't believe. He claimed in one class, the song Killing Them Softly was about him. I was like, nah, nigga, not you. He told me he knew Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack and all these people, these DC legends. He's a humble man, but he really demanded excellence. And he gave us a lecture once on a concept called polarization. Polarization meaning the idea that if you can make everybody look at the same thing at the same time, that their rational mind will decrease and their emotional response will increase. He said that's how audiences work, that's how mobs work, that's how you make a person lose themselves in the crowd. I got it. As he was saying this, he would hold a staple in his hand. It was a good lecture. He said, everyone focus on the staple, and then he would explain to us what polarization is as we're all looking at this staple, and then he'd scream, ha! And everyone would jump, oh! And he said, what you scared of? Oh, shit, that works. And ever since he did that lecture, I listened in his class intently. He was one of the only guys that I would always get straight A's from because I worked very hard, not to get his approval, but to avoid his disapproval. When we were coming up,
They had a thing called juries. I don't know, do they still do juries? Juries is when all the department heads give you a piece to work on and they sit there and they make you perform the piece, and the criticism is brutal. We were kids. We didn't understand that they were preparing us for a hard world ahead. If you wanted a profession in art, they would tear us to shreds. The stress of a jury, and man, I never practiced. Because I act. At an improv class, a teacher named Geraldine Gilstrap told me that I should stop doing funny pieces, that I should try to stretch myself artistically, that maybe I had more in me than comedy. And at the time, I took offense to that. So because she said that, after school that very night, I went to the comedy club. For the first time, I signed the list, and I waited, and I got on, and I killed it. Killed it. Must have been 35 years ago, night after night. I killed it. I'd show up with a bag of tricks that I learned at school, and I would dominate adults on a regular basis. Couldn't wait to get out of D.C. When I was 17, I moved to New York and lit that comedy scene up. I was obviously talented. You'll hear stories about people saying that I discovered Dave Chappelle. That's like saying you discovered sunshine. I was shining on everybody. And when I got in that professional world, I was oddly prepared. I had a sense of professionalism. I showed up on time. I did the things that I learned in school to do, just the basics. But my career didn't have any direction because I was still so young. And that didn't change for many years. It didn't change until my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, told me she was pregnant. And I was like, you know what? I should really start taking this seriously. When she told me that, before the baby was born, I had done my first HBO special, and then I went to work on a sketch comedy show idea I had, and Chappelle show came out when my son was still maybe 18 months years old. And I bet on myself. I took less money. I remember that, so I could do what I wanted to do. I said, you don't have to pay me that much, but you can't ever tell me that I can't do what I want to do. I did the first season, I'll tell you, for $300,000. Which sounds like a lot of money, but. It was a rare experience in my life because it was the first time that I did something that was so successful that I knew I had exceeded their expectations. I was more successful than I felt like I was supposed to be. They didn't plan on that. The second season came out and was a juggernaut, and then I remember this was the single best day of my career. The Rick James episode of Chappelle Show had come out. People were going crazy about the Rick James episode. At the same time, the DVD for season 1 of Chappelle Show dropped. It was the first time any television show had ever been sold off air, and it sold 1 million copies in the first day. It was unheard of. To this day, nothing has sold more than Chappelle Show. It's still on the top 10 in Netflix. All those great things happened, and my contract was up, clearly. I'll spare you all the details of why it didn't work out. But it didn't work out. And I ended up doing something that no one had ever seen before, including myself. Maybe Prince is the only other guy that I've seen do this, where he just quit something that was popular when you're at the very top of it. Lucky for me, when I quit, I went to Africa, so there was a media storm that I didn't hear. By the time I got back, everyone was just looking at me crazy. That was a very difficult decision to make. The entire world told me I was crazy, but I was sure I was being true to myself and to something that I learned at Ellington. I'm one of those comedians that thought of himself as an artist. I was enamored by what the genre could do. It was like the pictures that I could paint with words and the way I could engage with audiences. I understood as it was happening. I was very lucky to be able to do this. And I protected that. And I knew that if I took the money, they would expect me to behave differently. And I wasn't willing to accept that. So I quit. And when I quit, it was a very difficult time in my life that I'll spare you the details, but man, fuck show business. It was tough. And then one day I was in Panama City, Panama, and I was at a hotel, and I looked at the lobby. There was a painting of Abraham Lincoln. And then I would look closer. It wasn't a painting. It was all pennies, just pennies, on a black canvas arranged into the face of Abraham Lincoln. And I asked the guy, I said, how much is that painting worth? He said, $600,000, sir. And I looked at the pennies that made up the painting, and I was like, that's like $300 worth of pennies. A light bulb went in my head. I realized the value of art. Some of the biggest wars and crimes and scandals in history were financed through the theft of art. Art is a powerful commodity. And artists, if you're good at it, should never behave as a commodity. That's a tough one. And then I gave up.